Screwed up!
Number 5 has probably played one of the biggest roles in the success of the Umbrella Academy, and his powers have left all of us in awe. He especially takes the audience by surprise as he first appears as a child, but with the wisdom of an old man who's seen some things in his lifetime. 5 was one of the 7 children that were adopted by Reginald Hargreaves, and he's an older man in the body of a kid after engaging in a lot of time travel. This is just one of his many fascinating physiological quirks, and today we'll explore Number 5's anatomy in detail and tell you everything about him. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but to us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin.
What about my family?
You can't save them if you're dead.
Who is Number 5? In a strange occurrence on October 1st, 1989, around 43 children were born all over the world to mothers who hadn't experienced any symptoms of pregnancy. Number 5 was born in Dublin, Ireland, to a butcher named Aoife, and he was among the 7 children who were then adopted by Sir Reginald Hargreaves. Hargreaves intended to raise these 7 children along with Grace and train them at the Umbrella Academy so that they'd step in to save the world one day. They all had their own unique set of powers, and 5 was gifted with the ability to travel across time. Unfortunately, he took things too far and found himself trapped in the future for the longest time, where he discovered that the world around him was in complete ruin. After being trapped for years, he found a way to return to the Umbrella Academy just in time to warn them about the impending apocalypse. With just 8 days in hand, the siblings came together to save the world, but they failed at this attempt. 5 then found himself transported to Dallas in 1963, where he was once again stuck in the middle of another apocalypse. He soon realized that this apocalypse was a result of him manipulating time, and he once again returned to the Umbrella Academy to deal with this crisis. After returning to 2019, Number 5 was surprised to see that their actions had triggered a Kugelblitz, a black hole that would soon destroy the concept of space and time. Moreover, they learned that they were replaced by the Sparrows, and Number 5 and his siblings then worked with them to reset the entire universe, even if it meant they'd lose all their powers. How does Number 5's physical age differ from his actual age due to time travel? Number 5's primary ability was space-time manipulation, which enabled him to travel across space and time and teleport objects even if he wasn't physically close to them. At a young age, 5 was having lunch when he decided that he wanted to travel across time, and he immediately rushed to Reginald to talk about it. However, he'd not mastered his ability yet, and Reginald was quite shocked by his proposition. 5 took his father's concern the wrong way and almost felt offended that he tried to underestimate him. This incident provoked him to leave his home and jump across space and time to prove him wrong, but Reginald was correct about the fact that he'd not tamed his powers. 5 soon ended up traveling to a near future where the world had been completely destroyed, and he tried and failed to return to the present. Traveling forward in time is much easier, as it requires the individual to accelerate along the space-time curve at a greater speed. But traveling back in time requires a whole lot of effort. 5 also explains his powers by saying that he had to project his consciousness forward into a suspended quantum state version of his own self to time travel to the future. Additionally, the laws of quantum physics often explain time travel using the multiverse theory. 5 elaborates on it by explaining that he could go back in time by jumping from one leaf to another leaf of the multiverse tree. Of course, he had to master several probability calculations to figure out exactly how close or far he had to jump to end up in the present, or else he might find himself in a different dimension with a different reality. Over time, 5 gained access to the Temps Commission briefcase that helped him calculate the jump, but he didn't have this equipment when he made his first jump. Consequently, he was stuck in the future for quite a long time before he finally managed to calculate a way to get back to his present. He aged quite a bit in this time, and he was about 58 years old when he passed through the wormhole to return to his siblings. However, he couldn't generate enough energy to create a wormhole large enough to fit a 58-year-old's body. As a result of all this, 5 broke down his consciousness into tiny quantum particles and appeared as his 13-year-old self in order to travel back in time, even if his actual age was 58. What are the key physical characteristics of Number 5? Portrayed by Aidan Gallagher, Number 5 appeared as a 58-year-old man trapped in the body of a 13-year-old. While he had a child's physique, he retained his old mind and personality and appeared as a frustrating old man trapped in a young body. He'd dress up in proper suits and act superior or disinterested in his siblings' efforts, and it was quite entertaining to watch a young kid behave in such ways. What physical abilities does Number 5 possess? After the universe was reset, number 5 lost access to all his powers. However, this was quite a recent event, and 5 has displayed his extraordinary physical powers throughout the course of his story arc. To begin with, he can move across space and time, teleport to new places, and even manipulate time to some extent. He could physically teleport himself across long and short distances, and he often used this ability to dodge Hazel, Cha-Cha, or even the Temps Commission. Number 5 would travel anywhere at will, but he exhausted himself after journeying through time multiple times in a short span. The handler had to often remind him not to exert himself physically, as playing with forces of nature could take a toll on him. In addition to teleporting himself, 5 could teleport other people, and he once displayed this ability when he took Diego along with him while evading commission agents. He could also teleport objects without touching them, such as when he replaced a robber's gun with a stapler. While this isn't a physical ability in the truest sense, 5 could also perform chronokinesis and move across time. He initially struggled with this power, but he eventually got the hang of it and managed to reverse time by a couple of minutes. By doing this, he managed to undo certain events that had taken place within this short span, and it was almost as if these things had never happened. Of course, 5 was burdened with the truth, as he knew what went down at that time, but he was the only one to remember them.
There, buddy.
Get back now. Wouldn't want you to get hurt.
Or what?
What are the limitations of number 5's teleportation abilities in terms of physical strain? While number 5 is bestowed with supernatural teleportation abilities, everybody has their own limitations while exerting themselves too much. Naturally, 5 was no stranger to this, and he struggled to use his powers effectively when he was tired. He'd be utterly exhausted after about 5 blinks, but he shouldn't be too hard on himself, as manipulating the laws of space and time does sound like a draining job. He'd also not completely mastered his teleportation and time-traveling powers, but there was a lot of scope for improvement, and Reginald believed he could do well with some training. How does number 5's combat training reflect in his physical prowess? Even before he teleported to the future, number 5 was a master combatant who could hold his front in fights. However, his fighting abilities only grew more and more advanced over the years, especially after he'd spent some time training with the Commission. He then grew into a skilled assassin, and he was one of the deadliest assassins who ever worked with the Temps Commission. He could kill numerous people at once, even as a child, and he could be quite intimidating due to his advanced mind, despite appearing as a harmless kid. Number 5's intellectual prowess and perceptive nature were also quite helpful, and he had no trouble coming up with advanced strategies in no time. He's managed to emerge victorious even in some tricky situations where he almost saw death in the eye, and he's proved himself to be an expert tactician, capable of devising and executing some truly complex plans.
More like the ring.
How does number 5's short stature influence his agility and combat style? While number 5 isn't blessed with the same levels of physical strength as some of his other siblings, he's always managed to make the best of what he has. He figured out a way to work with his short stature and use it to his advantage by moving around evasively and strategically teleporting away from his opponent. In a one-on-one face-off, number 5's short stature has helped him be more agile and speedy, and he can maneuver himself out of his opponent's way and strike them down with great ease. He's proved himself to be formidable despite his short size, and his precision and ability to adapt to any situation make him quite a tough opponent. 5 often displayed his fighting abilities in situations, such as when he faced an entire team of opponents in a diner and still managed to evade them all by teleporting away. He once showed up with an axe and teleported his way across the room while fighting against the commission board and struck down the board members one by one with his axe. In another instance, he fought a robber by teleporting his gun with a stapler as a weapon, and he turned the situation around by distracting him and then banging the stapler against his head. He never let his short stature or lack of supernatural strength get in the way of victory, and he often makes witty remarks that leave his opponents befuddled before getting the best of them.
I have a crazy idea. Crazy, but why don't we find Vanya and ask her what happened?
How does number 5's physical endurance compare to his siblings and other characters in the series? While 5 has some tremendous powers, he might fall behind his siblings when it comes to physical endurance. But then, all the siblings have their own unique set of powers, and 5 certainly can't compare himself to someone like Luther, whose power set is all about strength and endurance. Diego also boasts about his strength, while Allison relies on her rumors to get what she wants without resorting to physical combat. Of course, she can hold her front in a fight if the situation demands it, and she's made many heads burst in front of her eyes. Klaus is best known for his ability to conjure the dead, talk to them, and perform telekinesis, while Vanya can convert sound into energy waves that can have catastrophic effects. When it comes to physical endurance, Ben is one of the strongest siblings due to his ability to unleash violent tentacles from his chest. Reginald Hargreaves tried his best to hone their abilities to reach their maximum potential, and he also named the children in order of being the least useless but most loyal to the most powerful but most chaotic. On this scale, number 5 ranks somewhere on the lower end, implying that he's one of his more powerful kids, even if he stirs up up a lot of trouble. His physical endurance seems to be a bit lower than the others, and he isn't one to pack a punch in the face of danger. Instead, he might rely on time travel or teleportation to dodge trouble, and both these actions demand a whole lot of energy and leave him a bit drained out. Is number 5 immortal? Considering the fact that number 5 can keep going back in time to redo any mistakes, fans have wondered if he can stay immortal. He barely needs to do a few calculations to reset his timeline, and he's managed to reverse his aging over the years as well. However, one must remember that he only reversed his age as an accident, and it was only a mistake since he was trying to figure out his powers at the time. He could be able to jump to the past over and over again, but this doesn't make him immortal, as the effects of aging, as well as the risk of fatal injuries, leave him quite vulnerable. While this is the case in the Netflix series, the comic version of number 5 is supposedly immortal and immune to the effects of aging. Marvelous verdict. With that, we come to the end of our list of number 5's fascinating physique and powers. While he might be an old man trapped in a child's body, number 5 has displayed all sorts of fascinating abilities paired with inherent physical strength and endurance. He's truly saved the Umbrella Academy family, as well as the world at large, with his wisdom and powers, and we hope you had fun exploring the extent of his abilities with us. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one, and be safe. Thanks, everyone.